Welcome to I Am Here. Thanks for coming back. I am Amarilis.
And I am Gabby. Welcome
Extra
to our
today.
podcast.
Gabby is extra. But thank you for coming back. Yeah, you
Yes.
had to do it, bro. You had to do the whole what is it?
I had to be the dramatic this dramatic I keep saying spare chin, which is not what it's like dyslexic. That's not what I mean to say.
Spare chin, huh? That's a new one. Gabriela's doing a spare chin. So if you're not watching us on YouTube, this chick is literally like being extra, turning around her chair. But we are Amarilis and Gabby. We're cousins. So here on Here podcast, we're just sharing our family stories, our own personal testimonies, and hopefully you connect late or just laugh at us because we're extremely ridiculous for no reason. And you should follow us, guys. Subscribe.
Follow us, subscribe to I Am Here podcast on YouTube or I Am Here Pod on Instagram, where we post hopefully soon post a lot more stuff.
Come on now, we're doing it. There ain't no hopefully, we're doing the thing, right? But yes, send us messages, subscribe, share. Let us know what you want to hear, or if you really resonated with something, or think you disagree with us, or whatever it may be. We're open for conversation. So hit us up. Love it. Today I'm excited because it's a special one coming up on Father's Day. So we're going to talk about lessons we learned from our dads. Our little stories with our fathers is homage and respect and just reminiscing and joy.
Yeah. Did you notice that both of us have our dad's faces?
Okay, so now, like, I know you have your dad's face. Like, it's like, okay, and it's funny to say that because people who are watching on YouTube, like, oh, this pretty girl, like, she's so cute. Right? And we're like, you have your dad's face, but legit, like, your dad is just cute. You know, you're
my dad is adorable. I love my dad.
So cute, but you legit have his face. Now, when you say that about me, I don't know. I feel like I'm a mix between mommy and papi. I don't know.
Aren't we all? But I see it with you. I see it. You and also have the same face.
But that's the thing. Also looks just like mommy.
Really?
Yeah, he just has papi's eyebrows. More like
Theo.
He has papi's eyebrows. Like the eyebrows, there's no denying the
I saw a picture of Theo when he was younger. He had a big mustache, but like if you just do this, it looks like also. If you like cover
if you go like this, you cover his eyes and his eyebrows is mom. But then you cover his nose and his mouth is papi. So
whatever works. Point is,
I don't know.
You look like. I think you look like him.
Now we're gonna have to put pictures of our dads to see.
Yeah. I don't know where we'll put it, but I'm just gonna point.
Just insert and just be like, all right, we'll put it on Instagram, right? We'll put it on Instagram and be like,
so you follow us. Now you have to follow us on Instagram because then you'll know what we're talking about.
I have some people who be like, oh, you straight up look like your mom, like your mom. And then they see my dad, or they would see my dad, and they'd be like, you straight up look like your dad. And I'm like, I can't look like both of them.
Or maybe you can.
Maybe I do.
Yes, it's possible. I think it's possible. Funny. That's the whole point of having. Well, actually, that's not the point of having parents, but but it's definitely it's included in having parents. Oh my gosh, people are gonna be like, "What?"
Yes, it's the point of having parents. So
that's the point of having parents is to look like them, nothing else. Not to be raised by them or anything.
Or support and safe. Nope. Just to look cute.
Absolutely. So we were going to be talking about things we learned from our dads.
Yeah, yo, so much.
Yeah.
Man.
We're going to cry in this one, aren't we?
Yeah, we are, because look, Papi's hands are right there.
Aww.
I didn't even notice until like, because I do video calls now, and somebody's like, I gotta know, what are those hands behind you? What is that? And I'm like, they're my dad's hands. And he's holding the saw that he used at work. Um, so my sister, my older sister Ana Maria, was the one that like just took pictures of his hands after he came in from into the house, working because he was out, and he did a lot of carpentry. So he was out, and so in the picture you see his veins, like all running down his forearms, and like the callus in his hands and the dirt in his hands. And she's like, before you wash your hands, I need to take a picture of it. And he's just like, okay. So now we have it, and it's really, really awesome. It's so meaningful now, because we don't get to see his hands anymore. We don't get to really physically enjoy that part, you know, because for people who haven't known, if I've mentioned it briefly on other shows, but when I was 19, Papi passed away. So having that piece is really nice, because there's something, at least for me, very special of that relationship, of being able to like study his mustache, you know, and like you study the eyes, and you study like, and there's this closeness, this connection of studying his hands and knowing what his hands look like. And there's almost just that intimacy of being in a parent-child relationship, father-daughter, of just like, that's my dad, you know, like his very strong hands. I know his hands, I know the work. And the callus that comes from working hard. And that's definitely a big lesson that I definitely took away from Papi, of appreciation for work ethic and appreciation of working with your hands. I know I've had a lot of interactions as an adult with different people, different upbringings, and the appreciation almost, and the respect for the professional work and professionalism, and working with more of your intellect, which is beautiful. I respect it. I love it. I don't work with my hands. I work with my mind, and I interact with people. But it's just so interesting to me, of like, different people may have different perspectives of labor workers. And to me, I'm like, that's amazing. Like, I appreciate factory workers and labor workers, because that's my dad. And he supported us with that. And he, if we ever needed anything, he was the one that put the tiles on the floor, you know. And as a surprise to mommy, when she would come back from work, he's like, I did the floors. If there was any time that we did need maintenance, like somebody to come in because he couldn't fix it, I remember Papi being around them always. He wanted to learn. He's just like, okay, show me what you're doing, so that way he can know how to do it afterwards. He was always curious about how things worked, and making it work, and being able to just be there. Oh man, so funny, because like, all right, so my mom, and like, we had our house, and then a block away lived my maternal grandma. So my maternal grandma pretty much raised us, because mommy and papi both worked. So we would be there until like they would pick us up in the evening. And I remember so many times, like, papi would be home. Mind you, he was like a carpenter. So he worked with his hands all day long in the factory. Then he'd come home, and he'd work at home. Once he gets home, you know, and he wants to just take a nap, like, papi would just take a nap, like, but they were planned naps. They're not like your unexpected naps. Like, he would like come home and be like,
why'd you gotta call me out?
Put your 4-hour naps. But anyway, he would come home and he would take a nap, and his phone would ring, like the phone, like the landline, it would like ring, and we always knew it was grandma. Like, she would see papi's car passing her house, and she would call him, and he's like, so frustrated. And we're like, Doña Nilda, We're like, she just wants you to go buy the house. He's like, because he knew going by the house meant She had him fixing the washer, maybe coming by to help pull
He was
out
the
leaves.
handyman. Oh.
And he's like, oh, no, tell her I'm not here. Tell her all these things. Tell her I'm not here. Or like, like I'm sleeping. Just like, and he'd just like roll over. And that man, like, he would be so upset. But literally like 20 minutes later, he'd take a little nap in, and he would get dressed and go over there anyway to help. So that was a big lesson of, you can complain, you could be tired, you're working hard, but you're always going to be of service, to help other people, even though it gets on your nerves. There was a love for just helping people and being there, and a service, and really, I mean, I can't put it any other way, just like a genuine just love for people. And that's something that I carry with me. I always remember.
And that's so important to have, especially in a world where we live. Just
It's so
having
crazy.
that love to give to other people, acts of service. That's my love language, so I really have an appreciation for him.
I think that's Papi's. If I had to give him, and like, just based on what I know, acts of service is most definitely his love language. He didn't do gifts. We always had to remind him, Mom, Mother's Day's coming. Your anniversary's coming. Make sure you get something nice. He'd be like, oh. we had to coach him on that. But definitely for sure, just the love for people.
That's beautiful.
So big. There's so many lessons. I could go on and on and on. Because I remember, like, when he passed, like, and just the amount of people that came to the funeral was ridiculous. And I know you were really little, so I don't know how much you remember.
Really young, but I do remember it being crowded.
It was ridiculous. It was in February in Pennsylvania. It was brick outside, and there was snow everywhere. And there was a line of people out of the funeral home for the whole, like, 2 hours, 3 hours of the viewing. It was just a constant line. There was no time where that line stopped. It just a constant line. And we didn't know, like, there was no gathering of being able to talk. It was just a constant line of people coming, because there were so many people he interacted with. Like, we would make fun of him and be like, oh, he's the mayor of the city, because every time somebody would pass by the house, he'd be like, hey, like, and people would just stop. And that man it took him all day to mow the lawn, because people would stop him and he would just have to stop and talk to them.
Aww, he could have been there.
Yes, and it was just like so many different people of so many different walks of life. Like, I remember there were the buddies that he would drink with in the alley were there. Like, young folks who were struggling with their own vices. There were older people from church. There were, like, rich people from the factory, like the owners of the factory that he would interact with. And so there's, like, so many different people coming here to pay their respects. And I always thought Papi was making things up, like he was exaggerating the things that he would say, but like, yeah, I went to the owner's office today, and I complained about blah blah blah. I didn't like the way the supervisor held this, and I didn't like the supervisor's response, so I went straight to the owner. And we're like, yeah, Dad, you went to the owner's office again, blah 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 blah, because Papi didn't speak English very well. Like, I have very few memories of him speaking English, because he was so self-conscious about his broken English. So I'm like, you really went into this rich man's office every day to complain about some dumb things that, like, he don't care about. Or like, yeah, Dad, you're big and bad, whatever. And then at the funeral home, the owner of his factory, like the big CEO guy, he's like, your dad would come into my office every day to complain. And I'm looking at Mom,
he wasn't lying. He was telling the truth. Wow, he's so brave. So brave.
He saw a lot of injustices, and he was like, this is not right. I need to talk to the owner. I don't want to talk to nobody else. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. And I even told the owner, I was like, I thought my dad was lying about that.
Oh man, not many people would stand up for injustices like that.
Yeah.
He was really special.
Yeah.
And still is.
Yeah. Yeah. So cool. It's so cool. I remember like that was one thing. I was like, I wish people knew him. After he said like I would talk to people about him, it's not the same to talk about him than you meeting a person. And that was something I remember carrying for a while. I was like, man, you just needed to meet the dude because he is so awesome. Like he's just a crazy guy. Like crazy. He's like very helpful, very caring, but crazy. So I'm like, people just enjoyed being around him. And that's, again, it goes back to just loving people and being able to experience that in my life and see how you can love people for who they are, regardless of their age, gender, nationality, race, language, socioeconomic status. Like he talked to everybody who would listen, and he listened to them too. So many people came looking for his advice. So that's something that I definitely take from my dad. I really appreciate that I was able to be part of that.
That's awesome. It's crazy because like I was very young when he passed away, but I do have memories of him. And like the memories that I have of him are so funny because they're so full of love and joy. Like I don't have any bad memories of him. Like we've had other family members that we aren't so close to, or maybe even pass away at an early age for us. And I can have some like bad memories of them, but with him, I just remember the sound of dominoes,
Yep.
like him playing, laughing, raspy, like deep laughter. I remember his kisses.
Also has his laugh.
Yeah, and I remember his like kisses because he had like a big mustache and they were so like, it was so nice. And I don't know, just like I remember he picked me up in the air and he threw me up in the air, and I remember no other like uncle would do that to me.
Really?
And, yeah. I mean, some cousins like Giko would do that to me, but I remember that.
Yeah. It's so cool. It's so cool because he loved people, and everybody he met was his family, and treated it. And that's another thing. Like you talk about how he just would grab you and throw you, and it's just like, I have a different relationship. I was 19 when Papi passed, so there's a fullness of like there's very great memories and positive memories, and there's different conflicts and challenges that I'm like, boy, ooh, like it's like I would get so. What was that?
Oh, that's what it's like with parents. It just doesn't matter. When they're your parents, you have good and bad things.
Yeah, because they're human. They're human. They're so human, and it's just like, oh, like especially when you're a teenager, you're like, you start realizing, and you're like, yo, why are you doing dumb things? You're a grown up.
Yeah.
Oh man, but there's so much just like joy, like pure joy from that dude, and I being able to have like that childlike quality of just like he would play with kids and he loved having kids and just rolling around on the ground and being like, this is great. And he's the one that taught us to like run in the rain, and it's just like, oh, let's go out in the rain, let's go run, da 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 da, and splashing in the water and just like, it's just like grown ass man, like what are you doing? But like loving the playfulness.
Yes.
Yeah, totally. It's just that like it gave me permission to embrace the inner child because I could see it. Like that's a natural part. That was not anything crazy. It was normal, and he found joy in seeing us have fun. And it was so funny to just like watch him with other family members because I could see him being a little boy too. Like it wasn't just about making it fun for us, his kids, but sitting at grandma's house and she's talking and he's like on his knees with his head like on her lap and just looking up like with big eyes of curiosity of like listening to her story and then interrupting her like, mom, and then remember when I did this and then you punished me, and then remember when Remember then when I did this and then you thought it was so funny? Like, remember? Like, seeing just a
Oh.
little boy in him, with his, like, with our extended family, it was just a way of living. It's just like that natural curiosity of the world and playfulness and joy and, um, big lessons, big lessons. I'm so appreciative of being able to have that. And it's almost like I got to continue to carry that because that's the way people get to meet my dad.
Yeah.
They get to meet my dad through me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so powerful.
Yes.
Oh, I feel that when we have family members that leave us, I've always tried to write about this because I always love when people tell me stories about, I know it's Father's Day, but I like my mom. Um, I love it when I learn something new about her, because even though I was 15 when she passed away, I felt like I didn't know her as much as and you never know them as much as you want to know them, even when they're there. But when they're gone, you really want to know them. So it's almost like you're gathering pieces of them that you never had before when people tell you stories about them. And when they're gone, you place all the pieces together and then you get to learn who they really were.
Yeah.
That's why sharing, like we always say, sharing stories is so essential for healing, because we talk about those instances that other people don't know about, that'll bring joy and information, and just we learn education through whatever it is that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And I love
And it's just a
hearing you
way of
talk.
connecting, really.
Yes. And that's why I love when you talk about him. I love, love, love when you talk about him, because then I feel like I'm meeting him all over again, because I never really got to meet him or remember him too well, just little bursts of things.
Yeah.
And it's just so cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. And I like that, because it is true. You don't really know people completely, and honestly, we don't really know ourselves fully. It's just through
Exactly.
stories you're like, oh my gosh, you start realizing what's really important to you, what stands out.
Yeah.
Um, and it's really cool. And I feel that. I appreciate that because it's the same way of just like hearing different points of view of people who met my dad and they saw different sides that I didn't see, which helped me see the man, not just the superhero or the dad or the pain in the butt, but see the man and the things that he dealt with and the things that he struggled with and the things that, he survived and overcame, and just how meaningful he was to other people. I didn't realize how important my dad was to other people until after, he passed away, and they came home and they would share all these stories of all of the things that he did and how he changed their life, and we're like, my dad, like, my
Wow.
dad did that. He did this fool, are you sure? It's amazing. And it's interesting because I think of like your dad too. I knew him before you met him.
That's true, because you're older than me.
Okay, like you don't have to say it like that.
Well, I didn't say you're old. I just said you're older than me. It's not by too much.
I saw
Not
that.
by too much.
What are some of the lessons you learned from Tio Gilberto?
Oh, there's so many. I
Your
think
dad
about
is
this
so
on
cute. I love him.
on I love my dad. He's my best friend. I tell him everything. There's no secrets between me and my dad. Um, but the number one things that I've learned from him, and I think about this a lot, are humility, um, being a good listener, and unconditional love. Those are like the three things that stand out most when I think about my dad, because he's like the most humble person that I know. Like, he is so smart. He went he was in the seminary for a while, and then he left, before he even met my mom. I have to make that clear, because every time I say that, people are like, what? He met your mom and then he left? It's like, no, that's not what
He
happened.
left the seminary for your mom.
He left your God for your mom. Nah, that's not what happened. So like he has a lot of knowledge on things like the Bible and things like when it comes to theology, but he also has a lot of knowledge when it comes to things like history and just, I don't know, he's just so open to education and learning more things about the world. So he's always reading and watching videos on the
Loves
History Channel.
poetry.
So that's like something
Sure, yeah.
that I like admire about him so much, is that he has all this knowledge. He's so wise. He reminds me of a big turtle. He reminds me of a tortoise.
I'm gonna tell your dad you call him a turtle.
He's not a turtle. That's not what I meant. Like, he doesn't look like a turtle. He's a beautiful man. But he reminds me of like those wise tortoises, like or an owl, a wise owl, because he knows so much about life, and he's like a textbook. You sit down and he will tell you anything, but he never will let you know how smart he is. He won't. You will just find that out. He never goes around saying that he's smart. He doesn't. He knows that he's smart, but he won't tell people that. He won't be like bragging about all of his knowledge or anything. And whenever he does something for someone, whether it's like donation or helping out in the community, he doesn't tell everybody about it. He just goes out there and he helps the sick, and he comes out like, and he comes home, and you would never know. Like, you would never know that he went and he helped someone. Like, he does a lot of work for the church, and he goes in the community, and he basically gives he like reads the readings for the past church mass or whatever, and then he goes and he reads it to them, and he does all of that, basically like the work of like what a not a priest, because of course he doesn't do all of the important things that a priest does, but he does deliver the message and makes people feel included. And I so admire that idea of just inclusion. And he doesn't go around telling people. I didn't even know he was doing this. Like, I didn't even know.
Isn't it crazy how they be sneaking ninjas?
Yeah.
You don't even know what they're doing, and you live in the same house.
Yeah, like my dad's over here, like changing the world and the community, and he's like activist. And I'm like, wait, why didn't you tell me that you were out in the community doing things? Or like,
it's like almost, you're living with like Batman, right?
Yeah. He does volunteer work too. And like, I'm just like, what? Like, why didn't you tell me you were doing this? But he's like, well, if you ask me, like, I'll let you know that I'm doing it, but I'm not going to go around yelling that I'm doing it.
It's like, yo, bro, why would I ask you, are you doing this? Like, okay, now you have to run down and be like, yo, Dad, are you Iron Man? Are you Superman? Like, who are you?
Iron Man?
No, because if he was Iron Man, he'd be like, I am Iron Man.
I feel like I'm living with a superhero. It's crazy, like a double identity. So I don't know. Like, that's like humility is one of the number one things I've learned about him. Second one is him being a good listener. My dad, like he's like I don't want to say that he's like a journal, but he's like, if I could make him into because I'm a poet, so I have to compare things. That's why I called him a turtle earlier. But like, if I could say that my dad's any book, it would probably be and that sounds kind of sad because I don't want I should listen to him
Speak
more.
your truth.
I'm saying
speak it.
Yeah, I feel like he would be a journal, the kind of journal that you can lock up and you can just like twist the lock and then open it, because he's very like insightful, but he's also very attentive, and if you spill your heart out to him, he will keep whatever you say as a secret, and he will never like rat you out. Like I don't know, he will never go and tell someone your business. He's very, very attentive and very, very just, he's a great listener, and that's why I love talking to my dad so much. And he's like not very judgmental at all, so you can tell him anything and he won't make you feel bad about it, and that's just really awesome. And I definitely want to have that quality when I have my own family with children. And the last thing that like I've been thinking about this ever since you said talking about our fathers for Father's Day, because I was like, okay, there's so many things, but I'm gonna pick out 3 because
you could
there's
go
so
on for
many.
forever, right? Like it's
Yeah, and like the
so
number one is unconditional love. That's something that, like, my dad's love for my mom was the most beautiful, like, earthly love that I've ever witnessed in my life.
they are so
And
cute. They're like the
it's like something that like came out of a like a a movie. Like whenever I hear their love story, I think it's incredible. Like they, like, to give some background, they actually met first in Puerto Rico. They met like very briefly and they didn't like think about it too much, like, but my dad did. He was like, oh, she was so pretty, whatever.
yeah,
And
he
then
was smitten. She's like
yeah, he
blah
was
blah blah
smitten.
blah blah.
He's like, ooh, who's that nice looking beautiful woman? Ooh.
But didn't he go to her house?
Yeah, he
Like
went
it
to
was
her house, but he didn't know who she was.
yeah, it was like a like I think it was a church thing or a community thing. Like they were just like doing a visit or something.
Yeah, he was doing a visit. He was visiting, I think, grandma, and then with his aunt. And then
Mhm.
like he saw her like very briefly, and then he just was like, "Wow, she's beautiful." And then he thought about it, and he was like, "Okay." And then he was just moving on with his life, and because they lived on opposite sides of the island, like he was in the north and she was in the south. And then in Puerto Rico, did I say that? I think I said that, but
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
just to reiterate. And then she moved from Puerto Rico all the way to Pennsylvania. And then
Such a
within a
crazy move.
few months, my dad, not knowing she's there, oh no, I lied. He moved there first. Then on his birthday, she, like, coincidentally, she had arrived to Pennsylvania, in the same city in Pennsylvania.
Yo, it's like God was like, "Happy birthday, Gilberto."
Exactly, like, just happy birthday, here's your soulmate. Yeah. And like I was like, what? Like I always ask him, like, wait, how is it possible? And he didn't even know that her family was moving there. He
Of
didn't
course, so
know
they
that.
didn't have a relationship. They didn't really
They
have
didn't
a.
have any way of knowing. It was a complete coincidence that both of them, out of anywhere in the world that they could have lived, they could have moved to, they both moved to one place in
It's
the
so
entire world.
random. Like who moves from Puerto Rico to Pennsylvania? And
Yeah,
of
like most
all
people are going to
places,
like,
like the smallest little city you could find. Like,
yeah,
come on.
like it's not even a real city. It like knows. I'm just saying. I mean, no offense to
Small
Pennsylvania, like
town. It's a
Bethlehem
small town.
lovers, but like it's not, like, who are we fooling? But the thing
Yeah.
is, yeah, like he, like, you could have moved to New York. Like New
Yeah.
York City was where everyone, all the Puerto Ricans they were moving there, and he
Yeah.
didn't. So they were both like in the same place. And then he was telling me the story, like, once he just went to church and he was like, whatever, and then he saw her and he was like, what? Is that the girl that I like saw for 5 seconds? Like, and he was like, that's no way. And then he saw like our Papa Adrian, like our grandpa, and he was like,
That
they
is him.
moved
You can't.
here?
Yeah, you can't confuse Papa Adrian.
Yeah,
You're
he
gonna
was
see.
another father that taught us
Yeah,
a lot.
yeah, but you can't
But
confuse his face. Like, there's no two Papa Adrians out there.
yeah, but the whole thing with their whole love story was so beautiful. And then like my mom was dating someone different at the time, and then they were friends, and then there was
Just
like, it
living
was
her
just,
life.
yeah, it was like some crazy stuff. And then he like protected her because like the guy said some crazy crap about her, like mean
You
stuff,
find out, Teo
like
Gilberto.
sexist stuff. And then he was like, nah, and he stopped the car and goes, you can get out of the car right now. And he said stuff. Yeah, like
I
he
didn't
told
know
me that.
this part of the story.
Yeah, it was like crazy. And he was just always there. And then in that moment, he was like, nah, I'm fighting for her. It was crazy. And all this happened, and like they got married and they
That's
had
so
us,
cute.
and my mom got sick. And it's just like, I talked to him and he always says, like, no matter how sick she was still that same beautiful girl he fell in love with. It doesn't matter. It didn't matter that she lost her hair, that she was frail and she couldn't walk anymore and she was in a wheelchair anymore. He
Yeah.
said she was still the superwoman that he fell in love with. And the fact that he was able to see that beauty and able to see all of that love and remain in that love, like way into their relationship and like 20 something years into their marriage, is something I admire so much, because he was there for her. He gave up his job. He was there. Like he was making way less money because he was like coming home all the time to take care of her, and he wasn't working for a little bit. And he could have just been, we could have had other people take care of her, but he's like, no, I want to be the one by her side. And like, he was with her until she left this earth. He was by her side when she gave her last breath. And that's like a love that I aspire to have. But it also taught me to love in that way everything, if that makes any sense. To look at the world differently, see beauty in things, and also to give that love to the people around me. And I don't know. So he's like, so like, that's part of unconditional love, is something that, yeah, it's something that is so different and something you don't really see very often.
Oh no,
Um and the
like
fact that he was
there was
still
something
able,
crazy.
yeah,
There,
he was able to stay. um and like, not for one second, he never considered leaving. He was always there.
yeah.
And like, I know that not a lot of people are fortunate in that regard, that they've had experiences with, like, I have friends that have had their father leave, or just not be present in their lives. And I've it breaks my heart to think that way. And I always tell, like, whenever I have friends that have that experience, because I have a couple that actually have that problem, I always say, my dad is your dad. And he's always ready to give that love to them. Like, whenever I have them over, he makes them pancakes in the morning. Like, he, as if they're one of his kids.
Oh, dear, he's built up with the pancakes.
Yeah, so he's my favorite person
He's
in
so
the
awesome.
world.
I just like because you're talking about how like his unconditional love, and it's just like as you were talking, I was just seeing them. I remember um like for your quinceañera, like that's almost like
Yeah.
so much love. Like she was in a wheelchair. She had really like no strength. Like
Yeah, no.
it was really really close to the end and we all knew it, and we
Mhm.
all um and I just remember like all of this love that he had, and just holding her, wanting to. He was so delicate with her, as they danced, because he didn't want to
Mhm.
hurt her, because she was so thin, and her bones were really fragile. They would break for anything.
Yeah.
Um, and he was just like so tender and so like you could feel that love. You can see it. Everybody saw it. And then Tatiana, being who she is, was just like kicked the wheelchair. She's like, "Forget it. You gonna dance with me or what?" That
Oh.
was so
Yeah.
powerful. And he was just like trying to be so careful. She's like, "Forget this wheelchair. We're dancing or what, bro?" Like it was so powerful, so cute. And their love was something out of this world. Um,
Yeah.
I know you say it because you're the daughter, but like we all saw it. We all could see that, and we could all feel that. It's incredible. And I think of just not only when she was sick, but he's incredibly supportive. And she would go out, she'd work all dang day, and she would then travel an hour and a half to Philly and
Yeah.
to study for her master's. Like
Yep.
she would go to class, and she loved to study, and she loved to learn, which is something that she instilled in you guys. But he was always there backing it. Like he was always there supporting and cheering her on, and it's so powerful. And you see that as a child,
Yeah.
that
And that's something that he actually he brings to us. He has that unconditional love for, I think, everyone he loves, honestly. And that's something so powerful. And after seeing that, it's kind of like, how can you not believe in love? If that makes any sense.
Cher started playing in my head, and I was like mad old, but do you believe in life after love?
I didn't know this was a music podcast.
Girl,
wait, are
it's
they gonna get
karaoke.
copyrighted for that?
Oh no.
No, it was like 2 seconds. I don't think it matters. But
Just kidding.
no, but like he is very supportive, and he still has that when it comes to me and Luigi. And like even now, like we have Juanchi. He's like living with us. Like we have a cousin that we took in, and he's living with us. And he didn't have a problem. He was like, without second guessing, he's like, yeah, come live with us. And that's something that
Crazy
I think
selflessness.
Yeah, we need a lot more of that in this world.
Amazing. Your dad's so cool. I just think of like before you existed, before your mom and daddy.
Before I existed. Before, what was it? In the beginning, there was no Gabby.
Oh man. But like when he was dating your mom, I was mad little. I was teeny tiny. But I remember like he was so quiet. He was so quiet. And I mean, our family is very intimidating. So it would make sense that he would be so quiet when he's dating your mom with her 11 brothers and sisters, and she got 6 brothers, and like they're like old. Oh no, that's intimidating.
Yeah, right? No, it's scary.
Yeah, man. But and like the stories they always share of like he would not talk to anybody, but he always gravitated to the kids, and and they always bring up the story of every time I would see Tio Gilberto, I would run to him and sit with him and ask him to tell me the stories of the 100 Smurfs, the 100 Smurfs in Spanish, los 100 pitufos. Why the 100 Smurfs? Because every time I would be with him, he came up with a different story. He was just making them up. Yeah. So he had a different story every day, and he's just like so creative. He's so imaginative, like, and just so tender and so gentle and so kind. Like, so kind. And he is like incredibly talented and so humble that it pisses me off a little bit, because I'm like, you have so much, like his voice when he sings, it's incredible. It's still Gilberto. Like, this man has the most amazing voice, and I just love hearing it. I grew up hearing it because he would sing in the groups and sing in church, and it's just like it feels like home. Like his voice is like home. It's so beautiful. And then
that's so funny because listen, okay, it's so funny because he sings boleros, which for our audience that doesn't know what boleros are, they're like slow ballads in Spanish. Yeah, ballads in Spanish. But yeah, like he like it's so funny because every single Saturday when my mom would she would blast her happy like salsa music, right? And then my dad would listen to sad boleros, and he would
it's not sad. They're not sad. Let's correct that real quick. They're romantic, okay?
They're romantic, but some of them would be like, ay, me voy a morir si no te tengo conmigo.
That's beautiful. Like, that's not sad.
Yeah, but like some of them are like, y te fuiste, ¿qué será sin mí? ¿Qué será sin ti? ¿Qué hacemos? Yo no sé mañana. That's a different song.
Yeah, that's different.
Like, por amarte así, like that.
That's
one.
So beautiful.
I love that song. But yeah, like just all these songs about like requited love or whatever, love,
unreciprocated.
Unreciprocated love. And then he's just like, it's so funny because you just see him on his like lawnmower, like singing so loudly that all the neighbors could hear him, and he's just like, amar o morir. And it's just like,
can you record him? We need this on like. We need footage of this.
Let me. He doesn't let me.
No,
like,
okay, time out. Did you hear me say that you need to get his permission? Did you hear me say that he needs to know?
Yo, when he sees this, he's gonna be like, excuse me?
He's like, you're not allowed to talk to Amarilis anymore.
He hates it. Like, I put him on Snapchat all the time.
I know, but it's not for him, okay? He can't be selfish.
For the world. But yeah, oh man.
So honestly, funny. And I say it because like it's selfish, because I want to see it, But two, two, because honestly, like once he's unable to do those things, you're gonna be able to have this and be
Yeah.
able to have that voice and that joy and just dad living regular life, singing outside in the backyard, mowing the lawn. Like something so ordinary is so
Yeah.
incredibly significant and so incredibly meaningful because that's where life is, in the small ordinary things. Like sitting down and talking to Papi in the front stairs are one of the biggest memories that I have. Something so simple of us looking at the stars and talking about, do you think there's aliens up there? Yeah, what kind of aliens are there? And like we're like coming up with these crazy
Yeah.
stories, but it's a small, ordinary things with dads that make such a significant impact.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so powerful. Like they're broken, they're crazy, they get on your nerves, and you love them for it because they're human and it's so small. Just being present, just being there is so life changing. So life changing. So yes, you gotta like sneak in the bushes and record him. That's it.
Yes.
Whether he likes it or not, forget
I
that.
know. He's not gonna like it, but I'll do it anyway. It's funny because I always like every time that we on Sundays, back when COVID wasn't going on, whenever we would go to mass, afterwards we would go to Perkins or any type of like diner, and then I would always like take a picture of him and be like, pictures with Papi on Sundays, and he'd always get mad. He's like, why are you taking a picture of me? I'm like, because you're
Yo,
cute.
why are people so self-conscious? Like my mom is exactly the same way. And it's just like crazy. She's like, oh, I'm like, girl, it's not even about you. It's not
Yeah.
about you.
Yeah.
Right? But it's so funny because your dad is like that. And I don't know, we parallel like mommy and Tio Gilberto so much because they're very similar in that. But I remember with
Yeah.
like Papi, like he was in every picture, even if he was not invited. He was photobombing before it was like even made. Like there was pictures like back in the day we had film, okay? So I'm that old. We had film, we had cameras. Okay, excuse me, you didn't need to
I
go
didn't say,
extra
I
with
was
the
just
wax.
amazed, so beautiful.
I can't with you. Goodbye. But like going and getting like the film developed, like it was always a surprise. Like, oh man, I wish I could show you the picture. Yo, we like just tells us the story of we were on vacation. We went to, I think it was Ocean City, Maryland. We were on vacation when we were young, right? So like we're teenagers, and mommy's like, girls, go ahead, take a picture. So we're looking cute. We're taking a picture.
Oh, I know that picture. I've seen it before. I've seen this picture before.
Yeah, do you know the story?
Did he photobomb
He
you guys?
photobombed it. We didn't know he was there. I thought it was just a picture. We're all three, and
Wait.
mommy's like, yeah, la nena, like the three girls. So we're taking a picture, and then we don't know he's there until we get it developed like months, maybe years later, because you know,
Oh
you
my
forget
God.
the film is there, and then you go to Walgreens or you go to the pharmacy, and then you get it developed, and you're like, oh,
Well, I'm
we'll
so
see what
glad that's no
happens. You
longer
know,
a
like
thing.
what pictures are there gonna be there? Because we don't know. It's a surprise. And we see
It's
this
a
picture,
surprise.
and we're like, who invited this man into this picture? Like he's back there, he's looking like our bodyguard, looking like an OG, like chilling back up there. Like, why are you in every picture that we have? In every single one.
That's so funny. I do remember that picture because like you guys used to have it in your little family room, I think.
Yeah, it's
Like
in the sala right now.
in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably over there too. But like those are the small things that it's just like afterwards you're like, it's so annoying in the moment, but then afterwards you're like, yo,
Yeah.
I love it. Yo, I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. Like now this is one of our favorite pictures because of his annoying photobombing and ruining it. You know, if it was now, we would like delete it, take it over. You know, like we got to do it right. But it's
Yeah,
like
true.
it's almost like this meaning of like we always add meaning to stuff. It's just like he's always there. Like
Yeah.
he's always there. Like even though it was annoying as heck, you know. Yeah.
Hey, if they weren't annoying, would they be our fathers? Is the question. Probably not.
But why they gotta be so extreme with it, you know?
I don't know. My dad loves to try. As a kid, my dad was like obsessed with trying to embarrass me. He used to like do a lot of impressions, which were terrible, but he knew it. But he did it just to annoy me. And
I
we
was
would
like
be in
trying to, or did he succeed?
Oh, he succeeded as a kid. Like when I was a kid, he definitely succeeded. But not anymore. Now it's like pretty impossible to like
It's
him
almost like
to
the tables
embarrass
have
me.
turned.
Yeah. But
It's your
like, yeah,
turn.
now I embarrass him. But like way back in the day, I remember I specifically remember this one time. I was walking in the middle of the Lehigh Valley Mall, and I'm like talking to him. There's a group of people, and I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna see me, and I look weird. I don't even remember why. Like I guess I was like not dressed up or anything, and I was walking with my dad, and I'm like, and I like hid behind him, and then he was like, oh, are you hiding from your friends? And I'm like, they're not my friends. And then he like literally started going, he goes, I'm SpongeBob. And he tried to do like the SpongeBob impression, and I was like, oh my God. And he goes, Gabriela is my daughter. And I was like, oh my God. And I like was cringing, and I was like behind him, and I was like, I'm gonna die. And then now I just think if he would never do that to me today, but if he did, I would be like, yep, that's my dad.
Oh my gosh.
There was actually one. No, I lied. Recently, he
Oh
did
my
do
gosh, that's so
something.
crazy.
Recently, no, I lied because he recently did do something that embarrassed me. I was like a year
He's
ago.
so mean.
Yeah, I know. A year ago, he has this thing where he loves to go before COVID. He just loved to go to the grocery store at like 12 in the morning. That was like his go-to thing because I mean, he used to get out of work pretty late.
Yeah.
So he was second shift, so he would just go straight to to Weiss or something, or like Giant, or not Giant because they wouldn't be open, so probably Weiss.
Yeah, they closed earlier.
And then like he would like come home, and then he'd be like, do you want anything from Weiss? Come with me. And I'm like, okay. So then I went with him, and usually I would stay in the car, but then I was like, no, I'll go in with you. And I went in with him, and we went to there's this one ice cream aisle, and he really wanted, like he was talking about this coconut ice cream for like 2 weeks. Like 2 weeks straight, he was
Which one
constantly
is
like,
it? Because sometimes the coconut ice cream is like real good.
no, it's amazing. And I don't blame him. It was incredible. We were both gonna get it. And I was like, okay, I'm excited. And then like he like every single day would be like, oh, ese helado de coco, I really want it right now. And I was like, okay. And then he was like, that's how he baited me to go, actually. He was like, I'm going to Weiss. Do you want any ice cream? And I was like, okay, I'll go with you.
Oh, he
So
knew
we
it.
go into the ice cream aisle, and there's people, believe it or not. I guess they must have gotten out of work too, and they were there. There
You
was
said,
like a
believe it
group
or
of,
not, there were people.
yeah, believe it or not, there were people at like at 12 o'clock at night in
Yeah,
Weiss.
girl. Yeah, that makes sense.
And they were like on the opposite side. And then they were clearly in sight. And then my dad goes in, he opens, he's like dancing, and he's like, and I'm fine with it. And then he opens
He's doing his little happy dance for
yeah,
ice
he's doing
cream.
his happy dance. He opens the freezer, and then there's every single ice cream flavor except for coconut. So this man screams at the top of his lungs. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. He's screaming, no, like dramatic no, and gets down to his knees on the ground. And there's people to my left, and I'm 22, or I was 21 at the time. I was 21 years old, and I'm with my father in the middle of this Weiss market. And then he's on the ground crying because there's no ice cream he likes. And he's like on the ground like, no, how could you? And I was like, Poppy, stop, get up. And I was like, oh my God. And then like I looked around, and literally there were people just looking at us like like concerned white people. And I was like, oh my God, get up, please. And then
Girl, you needed to be bend on your knees and do the same thing. Both of you be screaming to the heavens. What? Like, you just had to join them.
I just walked away, and I pretended like I didn't know him.
Girl, you're carrying his face. You can't like deny that he's your dad.
I'm like, I don't know this man. He's weird.
Oh my gosh.
He did it just to annoy me too.
That
He knew
is
it would bother me.
awesome. That is so awesome. See, now I appreciate Bobby a little bit more because he never, ever did some crazy stuff like that. Bobby was too cool for that. All right. So and thank you for sharing that. No, I appreciate how much you give me
I think he's gonna
high
get
five.
mad. I think he's gonna get mad when he sees this podcast. He's like, you can't let people know that I do that stuff to you.
What's the timeout? How he's gonna be embarrassed if he's the one that out doing this crazy stuff in public? If you're gonna be embarrassing people, you gotta own it. You can't be embarrassed later.
Everyone wants him as a father.
Like, it's almost like your dad is like stereotype dad.
He really is.
Yo, that's nuts. That is nuts. Bobby was cool. He just annoyed me. Everybody wanted Bobby too. They're like, oh, your dad is so cool. He's so cool. Da, 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 da. I'm like, shut up.
I know how that is. It's the same thing with me.
Shut up. Yeah, he's so cool. He's so good. Blah, blah, blah. Get out of here. Yes. Aw, I love Tío Gilberto.
I love your dad too. I'm sad that I didn't get to know him for too long, but I
you know him well enough. You know him well enough. You know my brother. That's Papi. You know Kiko. That's Papi. You know, yeah, like yes.
My favorite people.
Yes. Like everybody has a little bit of him. Like I love being around Tío Ito because it reminds me of that. Like Tío Junior, Tío Raúl. Like you know him well enough through all of us.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's awesome. We carry pieces of people that we love inside of us.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And then when we're together, it's like they're there because they're with us. It's
so crazy because I remember when we had the big family trip down here to Florida.
Wait, which one?
That one, the one that made you go.
No, that was awful. I don't care if who sees this in the family. You know that was bad.
That was a horrible trip. But I'm so glad that I was in my home so I could leave y'all when I had to. It was too much. Wow. It was too much. Girl, you knew it too. Girl, you knew it too because you wanted to come and then you were sad. And I was like, I didn't know you wanted to come. So I was like, we got to get out of here for our sanity. There's too many guys see us in one place. It's too much.
I got kicked multiple times when we were I was sleeping on the thingy on the seat in the car, and like I was like, I forgot which cousin was next to me, but they kicked me and I woke up on the floor all angry, and that's just all I think of when I think of this trip.
That's so crazy. I bring it up though because now that you bring it up of like driving, I got in trouble by your dad actually. I got in trouble by your dad.
He drives very slow.
Yeah, and then he was following me, and I was just like trying to get there fast. I was trying to get home fast because I was tired of being in the car for so long, and I was like, y'all going too slow. It makes no sense. But so I got in trouble because I was driving fast, and that's a lesson I have from my dad. That's another one. I was like, I learned how to drive with him because I went through we did a lot of road trips, and I learned that you gotta get through. You gotta get fast. Hustle. You gotta cut people off a little bit. I know people hate it when I say that, but just a little bit because they be in your way. But nothing crazy. Mm-hmm. Nothing crazy. Just a little bit crazy. But I remember being here in that trip, and Tío Elvin was the one that kind of said that what you had mentioned of like we all share those parts of the loved ones that we have. We carry them with us because I remember he was driving in a car with us, and he just like we were playing music. He was playing music, and we were all singing, and we were dancing, and he told us in the car, he's just like, I love being here. I love being here with you guys because I get to see my brother. When I'm with you guys, I get to see my brother. And he's like, and it's something so beautiful and so amazing that now I can experience the same thing with Gabriela and Luigi. He's like, because when I'm with them now, I can see my sister. And I was like, oh, it's so crazy because I experience the same thing with the family of like when I'm with certain people, it's just like it reminds me of my dad. You know, it's like they're there.
Beautiful. You know? That's so beautiful. I'm gonna
tears.
I'm trying not to cry. Ah! Those who can't see this on my face, I'm trying to,
Girl, cheese is healing. The cleansing.
Who was it that used to tell me that? It was like, tears are like, it's like you're washing your soul or something like, who was it that told me that? I don't know. Someone told me that. It's like you're cleansing your soul with your tears. It was really cheesy, but
It was so
I think it was
cheesy that
just
you
a way
loved
of
it.
making me feel better because I was always crying.
Was
And I
that
still
also?
always cry.
He would say some cheesy stuff like
I
that.
don't know. Oso's always crying. I'm excited for people.
Why you
to
gotta
see
call him out
him.
like that?
What?
Why you gotta call
Oh,
him?
I'm sorry. I thought it was like a universal like truth.
Everybody knows.
Everyone
Poor
knows
Oso.
that. Even our friends know that. Come on.
You didn't
Or
have
maybe
to
not. I'm sorry. No, but also I meant me. I'm the one. It's a code name for myself. It's my alter ego. I'm trying my best. I'm sorry. I'm sorry also.
Oh man. He's gonna rag on you. I'm gonna give him permission.
Yeah, I'm sure he's gonna do something on his other podcast about how much I'm.
Yeah, we gotta collabo. I'm so excited. Because I mean, people will meet him.
Yeah.
We can't have.
When are we? Oh, different.
Yeah. We can't have. We talk about significant people in our lives so much, and also is one of those significant people. So I'm so glad that we were able to share all this. And like, I mean, for everybody who's listening or watching, you get to hear more of our crazy stories, and hopefully like resonated with some, if just not just like laughing with us and sharing a little bit of who we are, and getting to share our dads. You know, dads are so instrumental. And we really are so very lucky to be daddy's girls, to have that amazing ability to share these awesome human beings. So happy Father's Day.
Yes. And if you don't have a relationship with your father for whatever reason, just know that you can live through these crazy experiences through this podcast, and we send all that love to you because maybe Father's Day is not the best day for you, and we see you and we love you and we're here with you through that. Don't feel guilty for being angry on this day. Don't feel guilty for being sad.
Honor it, because as we described and as we talked about, fathers are so instrumental. They're so big and significant in who we are, and not having a father present is extremely difficult and hard. And recognizing that and appreciating it and knowing it, and being angry and sad and frustrated is all okay. And it's, you know, more than okay, it's actually needed. And there's so many different kinds of fathers too. You know, I may not have my actual father present, but I there's so many people who are mentors, who are who stood up and took on the role that some other men don't. You know, so it may be mom, it may be granddad, it may be teacher, mentor, it may be brother, but we honor and respect, and we appreciate all who stood up for that role, because it makes a big difference, incredible difference. So
that's true.
Yeah, happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day. Amarilis. What are you grateful for?
I am grateful for honestly, like, my dad. I am so grateful for my dad, and being able to meet him and know him, and having the opportunity to have him in my life. Yeah. What are you grateful for?
Well, now that you said your dad, I feel like I'm.
You ain't gotta do it. You gotta do it.
No, I'm grateful for my father's pancakes. And my father, but his pancakes are incredible. And if any, okay, I know this is like the end of the podcast, but real quick, listen, he started
Listen,
putting
Linda.
cinnamon sugar on the pancakes. And it is the best thing that I have ever had in my life. Pancakes at my house.
Oh, man. I'm mad I have not had your dad's pancakes. So, I mean, I'm going to have to
What?
go with. Can you send them? Like, can you send them?
Can I mail them?
Yeah, like send them UPS or something.
I don't think I can. I mean, I wish I could.
Girl,
I mean,
if you wanted to,
moldy.
no, if you wanted to and you really love me, you would send me those cinnamon.
Excuse me. Fine, I'll try. But if they're moldy, you better eat them anyway.
I'm not eating mold.
Yes, you are.
What the heck?
Do you eat blue cheese?
Nope.
I mean, okay. Fine.
Yes.
Well, make sure to subscribe to I Am Here podcast on YouTube.
And maybe Gabby would send you some cinnamon sugar pancakes.
Maybe. But you won't know until you subscribe. Also, follow us on Instagram, and also maybe I'll give you some cinnamon sugar pancakes if you.
And share your stories with us.
It.
We love to hear like everybody's stories. This is the way we connect. So send us your stories if you related or questions and anything. We're here.
Actually, you guys can send us your stories or any questions or requests for topics at
I am here.
Moment here.
I
am here podcast. No, I am here pod at gmail.com.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for sharing your space, Gabriela, and your stories. I love it. So fun. We are really glad that you are here. And I am here with you. See you next time. Catch you. Bye. Oh.